And tax day is underway, which means for any last-minute filers, the deadline is today. Rebecca Walser is with us now. She is the president of Walser Wealth Management. It's good to have you with us. So tax refunds are averaging over $3,200. That's over 11% more than last year. Tell us more about what's behind this.
The biggest thing, Lana, is that we have an increased, for the American Rescue Plan last March, we have an increased child tax credit up to $3,600 for children up to age 6, and then $3,000 for 6 to 17. And a lot of those were advanced last year, July through December. So you'll still have half of your credit left when you go to file, but basically some of that was advanced monthly in the monthly deposits to help the families out while they were actually getting, last year was a difficult year for a lot of people, Lana.
Absolutely. And Rebecca, I got to be honest with you, there are a lot of procrastinators here in the studio, probably a lot of procrastinators out there in our studio audience as well. Are there any rebates that all of us should be keeping an eye out for? And in particular, does a child tax credit come into play?
Yes, absolutely. The child tax credit is refundable. So what that means is even if you don't owe taxes, you will actually get this through your actual tax refund system. So it will be a credit to you. It is refundable. That was a big thing that got passed a while back, and then they increased it last year because of coronavirus under Biden. He signed that in March. So that's the biggest thing. But I would say, Lana, the biggest thing is make sure you file an extension if you are not going to be able to actually complete your filing today, because the failure to file penalty is 5% per month of the unpaid taxes. So you want to make sure you file or request an extension. That way you're not going to accumulate that 5% monthly. It's a 25% maximum. We want to make sure they get us when we don't file. There's penalties for not paying on time. There's things, but the failure to file is our most stringent penalty.
And you can file that extension without consequence, so you have to make sure you do that if you are among us procrastinators. There were a lot of people that decided to dabble in the stock market for the first time during the pandemic. What do they need to be aware of when filing?
They should definitely be getting a 1099, either DIV or basically INT. So they should be getting, look at for your 1099s, folks. The IRS is we voluntarily report our system, but all of the employers and all of the investment wirehouses, they're all sending 1099s to the IRS by your social security number. So if you forget your 1099 INT from your bank, or if you forget unemployment income that maybe you had for a few months during the pandemic or something, your numbers are not going to match the IRS's total income number, and that's how they double check things, and that's how your return can be flagged. So you want to make sure that everything that comes to you as a report of income, you include on your return, so that your number and the IRS's reported number will be the same. Otherwise, it'll flag your return.
Is there any way to double check that, because it's good advice, but in a lot of cases there are some sometimes mail gets lost, kids can hide things. What do you want to make sure that people really do when they're doing this last minute check? It's a great question, Lana. I mean, what we need to do is think of all of the investments and all of the bank accounts you have, and just go through a checklist and make sure you have a document for each one of them. And if you're missing one, call that direct company and ask, what did you send the IRS on my behalf by my social security number? And they should be able to send you a copy of that. If we miss something and we get flagged, I mean, it has to be a substantial miss to really for the IRS to come in, where or $3 here or there. But I mean, I actually have had clients that have gotten flagged over $13 interest credit that wasn't reported on their savings accounts. So things can get flagged. So I would just double check all of the accounts you have that normally send you something, that you've included them. If you did get any kind of unemployment benefits because of Corona, make sure those are included. You should have gotten a form from that. The IRS actually sent a letter this year. It's letter 6419, Lana, and that tells people what they had received in advance for their child tax credits. So they should also have that letter when they go to file. Every year at this time, people start scratching their heads and wondering if there is an easier way. Rebecca, at least you've helped to make it a little bit easier for all of us. Thank you.
So, thank you, Lana.